Morning YouTube. This video is about the hydro pump pulley swap on a Vermeer 252, why you might do it, what goes good with it, and what you might want to do because of it. It's all under here. Pretty easy thing to do. This is more of a what you need and part numbers than a how-to. This is, of course, all at your own risk. It's your machine. You're responsible for it, not me. And so what we're trying to do here, if you're okay with taking the risks of modifying your machine, is making this pulley smaller. The stock pulley is a 5.4 inch pulley, and you go smaller for a few advantages in this machine. You gain ground speed, right? You can get to the job quicker. This is a pretty slow ground speed travel machine, and so that helps. And you gain swing speed of the cutter wheel head, and so that helps. That helps greatly in conjunction with a few other modifications, such as the green teeth, their pockets, and their 900 series teeth. And once you're comfortable with your machine, if you're comfortable with doing it, the auto sweep feature is disableable very easily. You just unplug a connector to a valve and tape it up so nothing gets in it. I have made a video on that. I'll put a link in the description. What that does is when the cutter wheel slows down below a certain RPM, it turns that valve on. It restricts flow to the hydraulics controlling the swing of the cutter wheel, and it slows the swing down. Now, the problem with that for experienced operators, non-rental users that have modified their own machines, is there's a lot of torque in that lower RPM range, and it shuts you off. I feel like, a lot of us feel like, a little early. And it's more of a feature to protect the machine if it's being used at a rental yard or something from some homeowner who doesn't know what he's doing, jamming it up constantly. Now, it's not to say that it can't happen, doesn't happen to me. I can and still do it on occasion. You have to be careful. Try not to take too much when you do that to your machine. But, sometimes there's a hard thing down there in a soft tree that you didn't see, and, some stuff is inevitable. You lose a tooth, you jam it up. This video, though, is about the hydro pump pulley swap. That is one reason you might do it. If you have green teeth and the auto sweep disabled, this goes great. Those three work great for this machine. It makes it much more productive. And all you have to do is loosen this housing, because that provides the tension on the belt. There's 4 5/8 inch bolts behind there. I put it on a swivel extension. It makes it really easy, especially for this one, just to sneak it in there with a 1/2 inch drive, and you loosen it up. With the stock 5.4 inch pulley, I think it was a little tight getting the belt off. You could just cut it off. You're not going back, I promise. And so when I did this, the machine was new to me, essentially, very new. And so I did it in slower stages, right? I went from 5.4, and these are the part numbers, to 5.4 inch pulley, also called a sheave. Sometimes when you order it, might make it easier to find. And so I went to 4.5, and then I pretty quickly went down to 4.1 and was happy. And I stopped there because even there, I can jam the machine up pretty easily. I can take too much, swing too fast. I don't feel like I want to move it that much faster, because then when I need to go slow, I'll just have to push the lever that much less, if you know what I mean. And so I'm happy at 4.1. Some guys have went 3.4. Some other guys have went 3.0 even. And especially when you go that low, and I have anyways, we all feel that you need synthetic hydraulic oil. Some guys that have not done that, when they have gone to the very low side of the pulley size, have burnt up their pumps. Some guys that have not done that, they have heard whining and then switched to synthetic, and the whining has went away. And most of us have had no issues. There's a couple guys who did have issues long time ago. This is all information on a 252 upgrade thread on arboristsiteforum.com. I'll put a link to that in the description. That's where I learned about all of this stuff for modifying and working on these machines, and one real nice guy, Bill Corley from North Carolina, I think, who had like 6 of them. He sold me some parts and taught me a lot about these. Very grateful for that. And so to do this, you loosen the housing, as I explained. You take these bolts out, you put them in here, and that breaks this free, that pushes the pulley off of this taper lock is what it's called. It's got a taper back, and the sheave has a taper. When you suck it back on the new one, that's what locks it to the shaft. It is a keyed shaft too, so it can't really slip, but that's what locks it to the shaft. And you may have to do that a couple of times because you are moving the pulley this way to get the perfect alignment, which is important. And it's pretty much that easy. You switch the pulley, get a smaller belt. This is a 41-260R Carlisle brand belt. I hear that Gates belts were the same as Vermeer. I don't know if that's true or not. I had some Gates brand stuff from NAPA that I hated on this machine for a while. When I went Carlisle, I've had no issues, so I just stick with that. It happens to be the same brand of the tires, not that that matters. And so you put your new sheave on, whichever size you choose to go with. You retension it. It's easy. I just stick a pry bar in here. I hold it this way. I lock down a bolt or two. I check the tension with the spring gauge. Then I lock down the other two. I check it again, make sure it hasn't, moved out of range or anything like that after being fully locked down. And that's it. It really is that simple. You may need, this is I guess a 26-inch belt by the numbers. I'm sure that number crosses to other brands. If you go smaller, you're going to need a 25 or maybe even a 24 if you go like 3.0. Again, simple thing. They're like $8 belts, or they were. The other thing is the synthetic hydraulic oil. It was, I don't know, I was having a hard time finding a direct cross. And I ended up getting viscosity charts that had, engine oil weight compared to transmission fluid weight compared to hydraulic oil weight compared to rear differential weight. And, until I found that chart, I was kind of confused as to the weights and what would be acceptable. And that made it really simple. They can be found online from a variety of places if you care. Again, do all of this at your own risk. This I found to be a very fair cross weight-wise for where I run my machine in New England. It gets hot here, but it does get cold. I mean, I don't work in the winter. Once the ground freezes, I'm done. But this was a cross. This is AMSOIL. It's, hydraulic fluid, automatic transmission, tractor fluid. People use it in John Deere's. I found that, and I don't remember the number, that whatever Vermeer's hydraulic weight was, 48 or 68 or 102, they're weird numbers like that, I don't remember. This 530 was a cross weight-wise. This is hydraulic oil. I've had the same few gallons in this machine for 5 years with no issues. My pump has never sounded bad, except for maybe in the extreme cold, which is normal, let it warm up. And I think that covers it, except for like a literal, take this back apart and show you how to. But I mean, this is really simple. Take the tension off, use these 2 bolts to push this off. This will come out. Put the new one on, whatever size you choose. I don't know if I had to buy a new one of these, but I did. That's this part number down here. This is a Browning brand taper lock is what they call it. 9/16 is for the shaft size. I believe H has something to do with the taper. That's why it's also on the sheave numbers. The numbers on the sheave numbers are the size, and I believe, I'm not a belt expert, I don't know, but I believe the AK is the size or shape or depth or a combination thereof of the belt. And so that's what you need to do this in some fashion, right? And those are the other reasons you may want to definitely do it. If you have green teeth, if you're going to disable your auto sweep, this is a great thing to go with it. I hope it helps somebody. Have a great day.